Hello, my name is Kevin Clark, and this will be my final portfolio for our technology instruction for linguistically and culturally diverse learners. So the first part, I'm going to have four components of my portfolio. First part is just going to be the challenges that occur when using the technology tool Storyboard That with ELL students. The second part will be an ELL perspective of Canva. Third part will be an observation of another teacher using Class Kick with ELL students. And four will be an overview of Newsela, which is a nice little technology tool that I think is really cool. One thing to note, for the first two parts, I don't have my own classroom because I am in teacher assistant right now. So I will be talking kind of from the perspective of that, seeing the perspective of students and some of the challenges that I think might happen with these technologies. So in part one, we've got the challenges when using technology. So challenges with Storyboard That. We can see we've got a few pictures over here of our Storyboard That. And then if we look, so some of the things that it's just hard to work with on an iPad, the formatting of everything, trying to scroll, the scroll bar isn't there, and trying to kind of fit everything in the right spot is kind of hard when you have to use a touch screen. So that was one of the challenges that I could see. There's an overwhelming amount of customization sometimes. So if you kind of look in this picture here, it might be hard to see, but you've got all these different kind of hairs that you could do, hairdos, hair color. You got all these different facial expressions, different lengths of beard, things like that. Different kind of ways to orient the person. So here you can see they're sitting. You can get them standing, kneeling, standing in the corner, and you can even customize the front and back of your character. So this can be kind of a lot, especially for ELL students if they're trying to focus in on trying to write about some comprehension. They might get kind of lost with all this customization. The other part is the focus of the lesson, so that kind of goes into this. Students I think they'll have fun with this tool, but they might lose the focus of the lesson of maybe if it's trying to connect the dots in a story or if it is trying to help with comprehension of a story in a chapter. They may lose focus of that and they might just be trying to make it look nice. And the last part is it is also time consuming. So it's time consuming just because obviously you can see here you get to create everything here. So on this little comic book strip here you can see this person added 3 characters. They probably customized all 3. They added the beanbag chair, backpack, all these little things in the classroom that they were able to do. They added all those things. So those are all parts that you can add. So that's a really cool part is that you can make it so customized so you can it can really connect to an exact story. It doesn't have to be very vague. It can be very specific to that story, but it can also be hard to do this in a timely manner. So kind of one way to some ways to deal with these challenges is if you can use this in a computer lab, that would be the best way because it is so much easier to use on a laptop or desktop computer. So if you have Chromebooks at your school, or if you have a kind of a cart with laptops, if you can rent that out for the day, that would be the best way to use this one. Another one is to be clear with your directions and expectations. Make sure that you tell the students, sometimes they have on this comic strip, they have a little part on the bottom that is kind of a description of what's going on. So maybe you can be clear and say that the part that's getting graded the most is your description, so they can focus on that, and then they're getting that comprehension of the chapter, and then they can go back for homework or if they have extra time in class and make the comics look nice and pretty like this one here. And then another one would be to set clear deadlines. So a big thing you could say, by the end of class, the description has to be done, and then you can get everything else done as for homework. So then students kind of have their own time to create as much as they want or as little as they want, but they are still getting that comprehension and showing the comprehension that they know what happened in the chapter in each step. Another part that might help them is you can create your own storyboard part. So you can create the first tab here and the last part, so then it can help focus the students and they can understand what is an important part of the story and what's a maybe not important part. And then they have kind of a time frame in between of what they need to fill with. So if the first part of the story is here, they know that what happened right after that part, then they add that to the second part. And then if they're kind of getting lost, maybe they get to this third one and they're like, wow, there's a lot more left to go between this panel and the last panel. then they can kind of refocus themselves and maybe change one of the panels in the back. So those are some of the challenges I feel like that you can have with storyboard, and then that's kind of how you can deal with them as well. I was able to connect this to some standards, this tool with some standards. The WIDA Standard 2, Language for Language Arts, English language learners communicate information, ideas, and concepts necessary for academic success in the content area of language arts. I feel like it connects to this because they are getting the ideas from a reading, from an article, and then they are putting those ideas onto a visual storyboard so they can see that, and they can also write that description below. And I also have the ISTE Standard 4 Innovative Designer. Students will use a variety of technologies within a design process to identify and solve problems by creating new, useful, or imaginative solutions. So they are designing almost a whole set, so I think that fits very well with this. And also something interesting you can do if you're reading a mystery story, maybe a crime story, you can look, and as they are creating the storyboard, you can look at maybe the crime scene and say, all right, now that you can see this, instead of just visualizing it, maybe what do you think? So that might help them solve a problem or try to solve the problem of the story. So that's why I believe that those connect to storyboard that. On to our next part, part 2. So we've got the ELL student perspective of Canva. So Canva is a tool that allows you to present information. So some things I'll go through before I hop over to Canva is it's easy to use. There's lots of options to choose from when designing a presentation, so it's not just like PowerPoint where you've got a PowerPoint. There's lots of things that you can create, like a resume. You can do many other things like a brochure. I'll kind of go through that as I go to the Canva website. And there's a minimal language requirement to use. There's not a lot of directions there, so as long as you as the teacher give clear directions, and I would honestly model this as well, then the students won't have to follow the directions there and they won't get lost in translation. And the only bad part that I was able to find on Canva when I was trying to look up some reviews is that they said it can be buggy, so students may experience problems uploading or saving. I've never experienced this, but there were quite a bit of reviews that said this, so could be that it was an older review, but that is definitely something to look out for if you are planning on using Canva. So I'll hop over to Canva's website here. So you can see we've got a lot of stuff here. This is just all the different kind of things you can use. So there's things like you can make a resume, you can make an Instagram post. So there's lots of, it's very versatile in the way that you can make a presentation or have students present information. Some really cool things, you can create your own logo, so if you're in a business class you can do all that kind of stuff. Obviously the classic presentation, that's nice to use. There's a few more. A brochure, that's one that I'll use a lot, being a wellness teacher, kind of doing things about like mental health, things like that, so you can do that here. So if you go to that one, we'll just take a look real quick at it. You can see you've got the outline here. I like that it has the lines there because sometimes it can be hard for students to visualize this. And then you could look and see they've got different categories. So like for mine, if I were to do health, they can kind of look here and they can see different outlets or different kind of layouts that they can use and kind of get ideas from that as well. So they can click on that, they can use it, so we'll add that there, and then they would just have to go in and change the pictures or change the words that are here, but they have that kind of set up where they don't even have to make a full, they don't have to do the brochure and format it, it's already formatted for them, so that makes it nice and easy for them. Alright, let's hop back over. So that is the ELL student perspective of Canva. I think they would really enjoy it, just with how versatile it is, and it's not just the kind of same old PowerPoint or slides presentation. On to part 3. So as a TA in District 211, ClassKick is something that they use a lot, and I was able to observe this in a math algebra 2 class. So some of the benefits of this is ClassKick helps keep students on task because it allows teachers to look over what the student is doing, so they can watch and see if their name is highlighted, that they're working, or if they're off the screen, then it shows that they are not on ClassKick. You can give direct student feedback, which is awesome because you can just highlight right on their screen as they're working, because you can see on there as well. And you can type out stuff. You can kind of show them what's going wrong. So like in math, I could say like, all right, look at this part of the problem. This is where you went wrong, and they can go look at that. It's very versatile in ways to assess. So there's multiple choice. I'll kind of get into it as I go over to Class Kick, but you'll see all the different ways that you can assess in there. And then it keeps all the notes in one app, which is very nice because organization can be difficult for a lot of our students. So keeping all that stuff there is nice. Some things that needed to improve on this is you can have multiple class kicks because students like to skip ahead because they can just go through and then maybe they want to do the notes faster and then they might miss certain parts of this. So if you have multiple class kicks, you can have one that is hidden and then you can unhide it as the students are ready to go. In this class, we didn't utilize the grading function to give quick feedback. We just kind of let them, this was just almost like notes on notability for them. And it was a way for me to be able to watch and see that they were at least on task. But I think using this grading function can really help them see what they're doing wrong, and it'll kind of motivate them to continue working. And then also to have an assessment at the end of the notes, so as like a little exit slip, it can really help us see how well the students did. And then it also shows the students how well they did and how much they know of the information. So I'll hop over to Class Kick really quick. So you'll see I've got this assignment here from a student check-in. So you can see it just kind of goes through all of the kind of features. So you can write down, you can draw here. So you've got here, draw, you can highlight, you can erase it all here. You can write a text box. All that good stuff. You can create a link, add a picture, recording. You can add a manipulative, so you can move stuff around to make like a matching. You've got add in, fill in the blank. So these are all the ways you can kind of assess, or there's multiple choice. And then you can go through, and one really cool thing that I really like is you can make you can have the feedback only go to the teacher. So if you want to do a test with that, so they can't see if they're getting it right or wrong and just clicking A, B, C to get it right. Or you can have it be their direct, so if it's a homework assignment, they can see right away, all right, I got this problem wrong, how can I switch this up? So I think Class Kick is a really good tool to utilize. All right, and then last part here, so part 4, a review of Newsela. I think Newsela is an awesome tool. The purpose of Newsela, you can be used to create any literacy lesson. The pros gives lesson ideas and questions. It allows you to use multiple articles that connect to one main idea. As a mass amount of topics, you can really go through a lot, and you can change the CIL levels of the reading for varying skill levels, which I think is huge for ESL students because we'll have maybe level 1 students in our class and level 5. The cons, you need a paid subscription to get all the features. Luckily, the paid subscription doesn't, you can get it for free and you have that CIL change, but you just don't get as many articles. And then some of the reviews that I've read says the articles seem very biased, so I was able to see a lot of those articles or reviews, but going through the articles, they don't seem to be too crazy, so I think it's still worth your time to go look at it. So we'll go over to Newsela really quick here just to get a little look through. So you can see, you'll go through here, you can search some different articles. So like if I were to go searching here, I can search anything I want. It also has recommended, so we can just hop over to a recommended one really quick. And you can look here on the side, you've got your activities. So there's a writing activity and a quiz that is already involved. You can see you've got your one question quiz, or one of the questions on the quiz here. One of the cool parts about that is you can change the CIL level of not only the article, but also the quiz. So if I want to go to 480, the question gets a little easier, and you can see the text changes a bit as well. So if I go back up here, you can see the vocabulary just gets hard, so it's easy to differentiate for your students. All right, and I think that is all I've got here. So one thing to add as well, I put a Common Core standard, reading standard on here. It analyzes how 2 or more texts address similar themes or topics. I think you can do this very easily on here, so that's why I decided that could be a good standard to connect here. I believe that's all I've got. Thank you for watching and listening, and I hope you have a great day.